York is one of the chief historic cities of Britain, and it is almost certain that there was some kind of settlement on the site of York in prehistoric times. For where the city now stands, there was an important river crossing, which must have been used by the earliest inhabitants of Yorkshire. This river crossing was captured by the Romans, who came to York in the year AD 71. The river has witnessed many historic happenings. In the 9th and 10th centuries, Danes sailed as far as the city, spreading confusion and terror on their way. In 1066, Harold of Norway sailed up the river, fought a battle 2 miles from the city, and there defeated the king's forces. Roundheads and Cavaliers fought a famous battle near the city at Marston Moor. York has direct connections with our own royal family, for the head of the House of York, Richard Plantagenet, was the father of Edward IV and of Richard III. By the time it reaches the city, the River Ouse has been joined by the waters of the Yore, the Swale, the Nade and the Foss. Today, the citizens of York and its many visitors enjoy more than 10 miles of smoothly flowing water on which there are excellent boating facilities. Each year, a regatta is held, attracting competitors from all over the Midlands and the north of England. Within the city, the river is flanked by many historic buildings. From beneath Lendal Bridge, we have a fine view of the Guildhall, built in 1448. Unfortunately, this lovely building was extensively damaged by incendiary bombs during the Second World War. To guard against further attacks via the river, William the Conqueror erected a fortress on an artificial mound on each side of the river. That on the west bank has gone without trace, but Clifford's Tower on the east side is in a state of good preservation. It replaced a wooden Norman keep in which some 500 people perished when it was destroyed by fire in 1190. The walls, which almost surround the city, are still in an excellent state of preservation, and it is pleasant on a fine warm day to spend a morning or afternoon walking round the broad flagged path, which is reached by flights of easy steps. It needs little imagination to see medieval archers shooting arrows through the battlements and the loopholes. Today, these walls are a fitting and beautiful frame for the ancient buildings which form the lovely picture within. The main entrances to the city were guarded by 4 great bars or gates. The most important was Micklegate Bar, which stood across the road to the south, and was, by tradition, the bar through which the king entered the city. Many royal processions, with all the colourful glory of medieval pageantry, have passed beneath this bar. It has, however, grimmer associations too, for the heads of traitors were put on top of the bar as a warning to all passers-by. Bootham Bar dominates the road to the north, the direction from which, in the Middle Ages, York could expect its fiercest enemies. On this side of the city was the Forest of Galtres, which was the haunt of wolves and robbers. Walmgate Bar and Monk Bar command the roads to the sea. Walmgate still possesses its barbican, walls extending outwards from the bar so that an enemy had to concentrate in a narrow space. This lovely old secluded court or square, which in spring and summer is a feast of colour, leads to what is probably one of the narrowest and oldest streets in the city. The Shambles. This is an outstanding example of a medieval street and is mentioned in the Domesday Book. Originally, the Shambles was the centre of the butchering trade of the city. Today, the shops are occupied by jewellers, art and antique dealers. This craftsman, Mr. A.S. Harrison, owns one of the oldest shops and has for many years made useful and decorative articles from wood salvaged from old buildings in the city. Stonegate contains fine examples of most building periods from about 1450 onwards. The street probably derives its name from the fact that stone was brought along it to be used in the building of the Great Minster. The red Stonegate Devil, with his hoofed feet, still looks down with his sardonic smile onto passers-by. Street names locate in a simple way many of the former trades and guilds of the city. Silver Street for the silversmiths. Spurriergate, Street of the Spurmakers, but quaintest of all, Whipma-Whopma-Gate. Along St Saviour Gate we naturally find the old church of St Saviour, whilst the old street of pavement, on which stood a gallows, has been known by this name for more than 500 years. In those early days, lamps burning in the lantern tower of All Saints pavement used to guide wayfarers to the city, particularly those coming from the north through the dreaded forest of Galtres. Near the Church of St Helen stands the Mansion House, home of the mayor during his term of office. The ruins of St Mary's Abbey, which stand in this beautiful setting, are the remains of the first monastic house to be established in Yorkshire after the Norman conquest. It became one of the largest and wealthiest of the Benedictine abbeys. At its head was a mitred abbot who sat in the House of Lords. These are the heraldic bearings of the Company of Merchant Adventurers of England. The York Company still meets in an old timbered hall, the foundations of which were laid more than 800 years ago. The company used to control the export of cloth from this country and the import of general merchandise from Northern Europe and Scandinavia. Over the main entrance to the hall is this fine carved stone coat of arms. The company reached the zenith of its power during the reign of Elizabeth I, when it expelled from London a rival Germanic company. St William's College was founded 500 years ago for the chantry priests of the Minster. Later, Charles I used part of the college to house a printing press, but today the buildings are the meeting place of the Northern Convocation. This outer doorway was restored at the beginning of the century and is an exact replica of the original. Close by, the Treasurer's house stands on the site of the Roman Imperial Barracks. It was the residence of the Treasurer of the Minster and was lived in without interruption for about 800 years, until, in 1930, Mr. Frank Green generously presented it to the nation. It is now used as a museum. This lovely old court stands almost in the shadow of the Great Minster, though one can catch many exciting glimpses of the great church's lovely towers and spires from various points in the city. One of the towers contains a peal of 12 bells, whilst the northwest tower houses Big Peter, a massive bell weighing 10 3/4 tons. Although the Minster was founded by King Edwin in the year 627, the see or diocese of York is much older, for records show that in the year 314, the Bishop of York, together with 2 other British bishops, attended a council at Arles in the south of France. The Minster is renowned for its fine carved stone and the excellence of its 13th and 14th century painted and stained glass. In spite of its antiquity and its many historic associations, York owes its very beginnings to the river on which it stands. For although cargoes have been loaded and unloaded here at King's Staithe for more than 1,000 years, it was the geographical position of a simple river crossing which first attracted our prehistoric ancestors to this particular part of Yorkshire, and on the foundations of their primitive settlement have grown the glories of historic York.